Hello and welcome everybody. Just a quick introduction. We are revealing our top 10 favorite games of all time. This was a really clever idea that TJ came up with to have us all release our top 50s, and we did that all individually. Now we've decided, just for the fun of it, because Sarah had the great idea to actually do this a little bit all of the Dice Tower to show off our top 10 favorite games, and pretty much just to sit here and mock each other or agree with each other's lists. So maybe, Jack, you can start by introducing yourself and maybe talking about how many games you've played. And
so I'm Jack, been doing the other video series here, and I have the rough spectrum that TJ has, about 250 games total. So when we're talking about the top 10 here, talking about a very, very small percentage of good games, but really for all the games, they're really close. It's really hard to pick the top 10. I think that's probably a unanimous thing between all of us. Those are just the general things on my game. And I think, just to make some slight predictions here, I'll have about 3 crossover games between you guys.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm Bryon. I've been playing games for maybe only about 4 years. Jack really is the one who got me into the hobby. Back in high school,
he is the pusher.
Yes, Jack is the pusher. We had played a couple of, I guess what you would call miniatures war games. We played the, what was it, Mech Warrior.
Mech Warrior, yeah.
Which was based off the click system, which is actually still quite clever. But
yeah.
So we got into that in high school, but Jack is really the one who got into board gaming, and when I was at law school, he started inviting me over and playing some games, and that's really where I got the addiction. So I considered maybe 180 games, which is a little less than Jack and TJ did. Unfortunately, TJ couldn't be here. So Jack is really the one to blame for that. But I think I have maybe 2 crossovers with Jack and maybe 1 with Sarah in our top 10. But Sarah, you can talk about maybe how long you've been playing games. So
Not very long.
How you say one day?
How do you say one day? No, not one day, but maybe 3.5 years. But really didn't get into it until Rick and I were living with Eric, not part of this particular 50 top board game release, but he's really into board games too, and so he has a really impressive collection as well, like Jack. And so that's kind of like when we got a little bit more serious. We were playing. We had a lot more exposure to different types of board games, and not just the first 2, which the first 2 kind of niche board games that I played were Nuns on the Run and Sentinels of the Multiverse. One fateful night in Los Osos, a very damp fateful night in Los Osos.
Dark and stormy night.
Dark and stormy, but damp. Mostly it was just damp.
Okay.
But yeah, so not very long. So under my belt, thanks to Jack, Bryon, and then Eric, I have about 120 games now under my belt. So my top 10 list is going to roughly represent 10% of the games that I've ever played. And I don't really know how much crossover I'm going to have with these guys. I'm going to say 1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I love that you are part of our game group because,
yes.
I mean, you always talk about I'm not sure if I have as much experience, but I mean, you kick our butts at games all the time, and I really like the perspective you bring. I loved earlier on the list when you were talking about Machikoro as actually like a gambling game, like craps.
Yeah.
Because I had just never thought of the game that way before, so I really appreciate just the way that you kind of bring a different perspective to it. So.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks.
We also want to do a quick shout out to probably the only person watching this video, Peter O'Byrne. Thank you so much for all of your contributions.
Constant viewership.
Yes.
Yes.
Our number 1 backer
Yes.
on Patreon and Kickstarter,
Yes.
Peter O'Byrne.
Yeah.
So, Jack, do you want to start off with your number 10 and we'll go this way, or?
Sure, that sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. For me, my number 10, actually, take a quick look here. Don't remember all these. Yes. Number 10 is one that's already shoved up on another person's list, and is probably one of my favorite card games, and that's A Race for the Galaxy.
All right.
Yes, pretty easy peg there for Race to the Galaxy. It is something that combines a lot of elements that are like in other games. The different role selection that you're selecting out, what actions you're going to take in the turn, and trying to read the other opponents and see what actions they will take on their turns, as well as the using cards for other things. It's a mechanism I love that's used in a lot of Carl Chudik games, and is used here in Race to the Galaxy, so I really like Race to the Galaxy.
Well, and that it originally was going to be a. Oh, this is totally hearsay. I'm not sure, but I think it was supposed to be a follow up to Puerto Rico or Puerto Rico the card game.
Yep. Yeah. Very strongly closely associated with San Juan. If you've ever played San Juan, you've just played the light version of Race for the Galaxy.
My favorite thing about Race for the Galaxy was when we were introducing Sarah to it. I remember telling Sarah that, well, this is an empire building game, so it's one where we all play and we enjoy it, and then Jack wins.
And that's how it's been every single time. But always fun. I always enjoyed playing Race for the Galaxy.
I think the reason why you always win that game is you seem really, really good at knowing which actions I'm going to select, and you seem very good at setting yourself up for success that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bit of managing the victory point engine you're building, and then yes, the other half is reading the opponents and seeing what they're going to do. Because otherwise, it's a pretty solitary game. You're pretty much just doing your own thing. You don't have too much interaction of what you do affects someone else. It's that key decision that you're making.
That's very much like Motainai too, with that
Yes.
like reading what your opponent's going to do.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, a little crossover in there.
Yeah.
That's my number 10.
All right, my number 10. I doubt anybody predicted this one. I feel a little embarrassed because I haven't played it a ton, but it's a game called Heroes of Normandy. And this is kind of it's a tongue-in-cheek World War II game. For an example, the very first mission is Saving Private Ryan, and then Ryan has been crossed out, and Rex has been written in, and you are attempting to save the general's dog. Aside from just the kooky theme, what I really like about it is that it essentially simulates an entire miniatures game, but does so by using little wooden tiles, just little cardboard tiles. And the tiles actually have different stats on the front and the back. So some special units, maybe it's your machine gunner. On one side, it's them, carrying the machine guns with them, and then on the other side, it's actually the machine gun set up. And then they have different stats based on that. And what I love about it is I have these two boxes full of expansions for it, and you have 100-point armies that you can play as, but the entire thing takes up maybe that much space because they're all just little cardboard chits. And so you can have this huge expansive war game, or you can play just a couple of troops fighting against each other in kind of a campaign setting. But the footprint is really, really small. You don't have to worry about tons and tons of armies. Gives me that feeling of when we were playing kind of the old Mech Warrior games. This grand, expansive battle, but you can play it all in maybe an hour and a half. So it's also got some really clever, almost Stratego-esque things, where when you put out your orders, you actually put them so that the blank side is facing your opponent, and one of those is a bluff. So they know, okay, he's going to activate those 3 units, I don't know in what sequence, and one of those is actually a bluff. So it's got some very clever back and forth going on, but...
Very cool.
I don't know if anyone else has played this yet, but...
No, I'm sorry, I can't speak to it, but I do know, yes. I know the general premise, and yes, it's definitely got that Kelly's Hero vibe to it. Yeah. And does a good job as far as like duplicating a miniatures game in the good grid fashion, so...
Yeah. And for some reason, this works a lot more than, oh my gosh, the famous World War II simulator where you have cards that you play on the left, the middle, the right.
Memoir 44.
Memoir 44. For some reason, this one just works a lot more for me. I do have to say, though, the one downside is that it's an only 2-player game. And that's why I have a really hard time getting it to the table.
Oh, okay.
So it's a downside. But that's my number 10, which is Heroes of Normandy. And I can't wait to pick up the expansion, which adds Cthulhu, because... why not?
Every game needs a Cthulhu expansion.
Apparently.
Yes.
But it was also apparently one of the things that game publishers are supposed to stop doing.
Yes. Yes.
Stop with the Cthulhu expansion.
Yes.
Anyway, very cool.
Yep.
Here's Normandy. Right?
Yep.
So that makes it my number 10. It's already appeared on Jack's list. It's Kryptos. Yeah, Kryptos is. I really like this. It's competitive, and then it's got these numbers. You're trying to like guess who has what number and in what order the cards are that each person has. Like they all get displayed out, and you have to guess. Like, okay, the second card in on the right, that's your number 19. That's the number blue 19. And then like you're either right or you're wrong, and then you get points like, or you subtract points if you're wrong, and you get points if you're right. If you get it right on the first guess, you get more. But anyway. I like it. It's really simple, but you have to really like logic puzzle it out, and that's that's why it's like my number 10. It's like just logic. I know it sounds like really dry, but it's not. I think it's actually kind of creative because you're not just paying attention to like what you can see and like what you can see of the other people, but also what other people are asking other people. And that's also like part of it. So I really like that interaction. That's why for me the game is never like really boring because the whole time you're like paying attention to what people are asking and of each other's like in different orders and so on. So that's really fun. I enjoy it. It's a really solid logic puzzle game, and I like it. It's Cryptos.
How does it compare to Hanabi in your mind? Because I draw two kind of parallels there. I don't know if that's fair, but
sure. It's like they're both logic based, but Hanabi is cooperative, and then Cryptos is competitive.
That's true.
And in this one, like in Cryptos, you're not giving each other clues. You're just like using the information that you have in front of you, because it's the other way around in Hanabi. You only have the information that is in front of like the other people, but you don't get to know what you have yourself. And so Cryptos is like the exact opposite of that game, and it's competitive too. So it really is like polar on every other like step, other than it's like they're both logic based puzzles.
Well, I know you're a big fan of this one too.
It's on the list.
Yeah.
Yes, I very much enjoy it, and yeah, I love exactly what you described, Sarah. How everything that's done in the game gives you information.
Yeah.
What other people ask, what other people do, what other people are thinking about, why they picked on certain people. Like it all gives information, and it's pulling all that information together.
Yeah.
That I like, and the unique perspective that is. So to answer your question, kind of Bryon, like Sarah answered, it's that unique perspective of the cards that you have in front of you that you see. Where in Hanabi, you also have unique perspective in the different people that you see out. But that's a shared perspective, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, I feel safe doing this because I'm in the minority here. I'm not a fan of this game. I'm so sorry. It's like, let's take Hanabi and have less table talk involved.
We're talking about Cryptos.
Yes. Take Hanabi, and then let's have less table talk, and then you have Cryptos.
No, that's not what it said. Like,
well, exactly what you just said. You have to be paying attention to what everybody is guessing, because that's actually what's going to give you your clue. And so the whole time, I feel like it's just 2 hours of just like, I have to pay attention to everything that's going on, but... I'm in the minority.
It does become an easier puzzle to solve at the later stages of the game. Is one of the things I would say towards it. And same thing for Hanabi. But even Hanabi has kind of this swooping curve of where it gets really difficult, it gets easier, it gets difficult, it gets easier. Where Cryptos, it starts out very, very well. It can start out easier or hard, and then it starts to slope down. So I feel like the momentum of the game keeps picking up too.
Well, and all joking aside, we've had a lot of success with this with a lot of different people, and I know that I am in the minority on this one. I'm actually happy to play it,
but it didn't make top 50, which is fine.
Yes. So let's see. I think that makes us back to number 9.
Yep. Number 9. Number 9's already appeared on, I want to say everyone's list. I actually don't know yours if it shows up in your list. And this is the game that did kill the Resistance on my list, and it's A Fake Artist Goes to New York.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I've just had way too much success, and it is just way too much fun. General premise of the game, I think you guys already described it too, but everyone's trying to draw something. One player is out of the game, they just came up with a thing to draw, and everyone else is drawing it on the same canvas, one line at a time, without picking up their pencil. Except for one person. One person's totally faking it till they make it. Or not. And it is just hilarious. The outcomes, as you guys have seen my fridge, are probably the best pieces of artwork that I have ever come across. And unfortunately, my favorite piece of artwork I cannot put on the fridge.
Thank you, Dan.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan, for that one. But yes, it is just fantastic. It is fun all the time. Although the one down thing is that, you do have a bit of quiet, because everyone's like thinking, and you're like watching the person draw, and you have to be creative enough to draw, so you don't, if you're someone who does not like drawing games or doesn't like to draw, it can be a bit intimidating, especially just like in games like Spyfall and other things, where if you're the first person and you're the fake artist, you can just do something and everyone's like, you're the fake artist. You're immediately pinpointed, nothing you can do about it. So
draw a medium-sized square and see if that works.
Yeah, which hopefully the hint helps you. If someone's like,
That's
it's
true.
a place. Okay, well if I do like some line for landscape or some abstract geometric object, okay, it probably can get in there somehow.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of forgiveness on that. But yeah.
No, it's a great game, and
was it already on your list, Bryon?
I think it was.
Yes,
I think it was.
it's on both
there.
of our lists.
Okay.
And I agree with you that it is. You said it's a Spyfall killer for
Yeah.
you?
Well,
Spyfall
and
killer.
resistance. I mean,
I'm sorry. You said resistance.
Lifeboat is a stronger killer for resistance, but fake artist is the bigger one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, we have had some hilarious drawings come out of that, and
Yes.
like you said, I mean, it's almost a game that gives you double your value, because I've had a good time just watching as you're going through the ones that are done, or looking at them on your fridge and being like, what happened here?
Yes,
you know?
yeah. And trying to figure out what it is afterwards.
Yes, yeah, you can actually play it in hindsight too.
Yes.
But pretty fun, pretty fun.
Yeah.
Where you probably don't remember where it fell on your list, but what do you like about this one?
Oh gosh.
Sorry, I put you on the
No,
spot here.
it's fine.
What do you hate about it?
The stress when you're the spy,
of
when you're the fake
course.
artist, it's like really super stressful.
That is also
especially if something's incredibly obscure, like the green Power Ranger from the Power Rangers.
Yes.
Call you out, Bryon.
Yes,
Bullshit
that was a
clue.
great one.
That's
That was
fine, that's
a great
fine.
one.
But no, I love drawing games. First of all, they're like 100% love drawing games, and so I really like this one. And then I like that you don't have to be very good to be able to participate in drawing games that trying games that don't require somebody to be a good artist automatically for me like get a thumbs up, because that's really like inclusive, and so I love that Fake Artist makes it like a really inclusive game, although albeit stressful, and that's like the one caveat that makes it like maybe not my favorite drawing game, which is why it's lower on my list, is because it can be stressful, and like some people may not want to play it because you don't want to be the fake artist, but otherwise like it's a totally great concept, and like totally kills Spyfall, like it's really hard, like we got Spyfall up there on the shelf, and it hasn't come down for quite a while because instead we play Fake Artist. So,
it's Spyfall for introverts, which is good.
Well,
But
yeah.
for more introverted
Well,
people,
yeah.
I suppose. But also, just for the record, I'm really proud of this. I'm 2 for 2 on Jack's list. I actually
2 for 2.
Yes. So we'll see if that continues.
Very good,
but I'm quite proud of that. So
Yeah.
So that was a Fake Artist Goes to New York.
That was my number 9.
All right.
Wow.
For me, my number 9, this is an incredibly small card game that we have probably played, I don't know, hundreds of times, because it takes maybe 5 minutes to play it. I mentioned a very similar game just a couple of moments ago, Love Letter. This one is, can you guess?
Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy. Also known as Love Letter in Space, perhaps. It just has a tiniest bit more deduction going on.
Oh yeah.
Just the tiniest bit more, but it's just enough to bring it into to that class of perfect filler game for me. I don't know. I love even just the base set. We've played with the expansion maybe once or twice, and I really liked it. But again, there's maybe 16 cards, maybe 20 total.
Yeah.
One person is possibly holding on to the Lost Legacy,
It's
which
probably
everyone
Jack.
else is.
It's probably Jack.
Yeah, it's probably
It's
Jack.
usually me, yeah.
Everyone else is trying to position themselves so that at the end of the game they can be the first person to guess where that Lost Legacy is. But throughout the course of the game, sometimes you're stuck holding it, sometimes you know where it is, sometimes you have no clue where it is. And each of the cards just have just enough flavor to them where there's just enough stress. I was trying to explain this to my dad. I love the idea of limited knowledge, where you have just enough knowledge that you think, okay, I've got something going here, but I don't have total knowledge, and it means that I'm going to have to go out on a limb.
The gamble.
So I'm going to attack Jack, and he's got a sneak attack, and I'm out.
Yep.
So, and that's always how it works. People get into a flame war back and forth, and it can be quite fun. So that's my number 9, a micro game that kind of punches above its weight. I love games that, we were talking about this right before we started recording. I think it's amazing when games have almost no components, and they manage to do something so big with so few components. It just really impresses me that a game that has maybe 16 cards we've played, probably 100 times.
Yeah, hundreds of times. Easily
Yeah.
hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's my number 9, Lost Legacy. Also, I did enjoy the expansion. It adds, just because we've played the game so many times, it just added some life back into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I have to go next.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, my number 9. I'm going to follow up with Jack on his number 10. It's Race for the Galaxy.
Oh, no
Oh,
way.
surprise!
That's
There's
awesome.
our crossover.
I did not actually
that
get
was one of my guesses. Yeah.
All right. For all of the reasons like Jack said, Race for the Galaxy is great. One of the things that I liked about it, because it was new to me at the time, was just the sheer amount of iconography that you have to get to know to play the game, and that can be very intimidating. But I like it because you do have to like remember, and the game, there's a lot going on in the game, and the cards, there's so many cards that do different things. You really do need to get to know it. But that's also one of the great things about it, because you don't need to play with a lot of different types of components or markers or whatever, because everything's already on the card, and the iconography there tells you what it does. But I mean, like, then again, you can just look at the cheat sheet and look at, okay, that symbol, okay, this is what it is. But yeah. I like Race for the Galaxy. It's very good, and it is a very much light San Juan. So like, given a chance, I'd rather play Race for the Galaxy over San Juan, and they
any day.
pretty much take the same amount of time. I'm more interested in like playing Race for the Galaxy maybe a couple more times, and then playing it with this expansion that Jack has.
Yes.
So we'll see.
I do like that at the end of the game, even if I lose, I feel like I've actually built up an empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that it's impressive for, again, only being a deck of cards. I mean, that's really it. You have some scoring chits, but really the game is in those cards.
Yeah.
Forces you to make some really tough choices, like you were saying, because your cards are also your currency. It's really, really tough to be like, okay, do I hold these cards and use them to buy this, this 6 power card, or is it better to just go ahead and ditch that because I'm never going to be able to buy it? So.
Yeah, it's a tough decision.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we're back. We're going to be on number 8. You maybe heard the knock on the door there, which is why we took a break, and I am totally embarrassed because it was actually a delivery of more board games. I've been working a little bit of overtime, and I decided to treat myself, and so I clearly have what the Secret Ball guys call an acquisition disorder, and I am a junkie. So, with that shame now on camera,
let's go on to number 8.
Let's move on to number 8.
All right. Number 8 is a crossover with TJ. And it's in his top 10.
Okay.
So I'm two numbers away from TJ. And this is one of the most thematic games I have ever played, and it is Agricola.
What?
Agricola.
Most thematic.
It is one of the most thematic games. TJ will back me up. Don't worry about that. Where you are a medieval farmer just trying to survive, and it is some of the most fun just trying to scrape by to make enough food for your family. I just love it. Like the combination of mechanics and the theme and how you get your crops and you get your livestock and how they multiply as time goes by. It's the same thing I was talking about with viticulture. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant that comes out, and that you always know that winter's coming and you gotta feed the family when it comes to that time. It just all the combinations of those things is, in my opinion, just brilliant for the mechanics. So yes, I really, really love Agricola. As much of a pain as it is when you are struggling to feed that family.
So where do you fall in terms of, well, it sounds like you enjoy Agricola more than Caverna. Perhaps Agricola's more popular younger brother, more populist, perhaps.
Yes, yeah. So honorable mention for Caverna, it was 55.
Okay.
Just so you know, so you don't totally bash on Agricola.
Okay.
But no, go ahead now, Bryon.
No. I mean, you could have all the seriousness of Agricola, or you could have dwarves in a cave.
Yes.
You could put a donkey in your dwarf cave. How is that not better than? Right. I totally prefer Caverna, but to be fair, I have not given Agricola a totally fair shake, because the one time we played it, we played without the minor developments.
We played without the minor developments and the occupations. We played what's called the family version of the game, but which was good. I still like that version, and it still got a lot of meat in the bones for a a Euro style game in that worker placement. So.
All right. So Misery Farm over enjoyable Dwarf Cave.
Yeah,
Understood.
that's right.
Understood. Now, have you had a chance to play this
I
one yet?
played neither of those games.
Okay.
I know
Alright.
that they're. I know Caverna's Uwe.
Uwe Rosenberg, yeah, they're both Uwe Rosenberg.
They both are.
Yeah,
He
no,
definitely
it's,
has a particular style then. So.
Oh yes,
it's gonna be.
he's made a whole family of games. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I know there's the Viking one, something about the feast, Feast
Yes.
of Odin, which is
Well,
looks like I don't know.
It's different, but like or
I'd say
Lahora,
it's the same family,
La Habra, they all fall into the
Okay.
same family as Agricola.
There's
and
this adorable one that I saw where you like are tending a herb garden.
Oh yes. The new one for Patchwork.
Yeah, it's
the
a
four-player
patchwork
skin.
outplay. Yeah.
But I was impressed with Patchwork because Uwe Rosenberg I think of as these grand schemes, but she actually just taught me Patchwork, and it may actually have gone on my top 50, which is pretty impressive because I was like, quilting? I don't want to do this.
Oh
This
yes,
is
adorable
ridiculous.
quilters, mad quilters.
With the button economy, I loved the
Yep.
button economy.
Yeah, that's what I talked about when I was talking about patchwork. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I did not see that one coming on your list. I'm no
Yeah.
longer doing great. But so that was your number
8.
8.
Yes.
All right. Well, my number 8 has appeared on Jack's list already, and it may have shown up on Sarah's. I'm not sure. My number 8 is Imperial Settlers. This is another one of those games that, the phrase I like is just punches above its weight class. It hits really hard for having not a lot of components. I mean, essentially, you have 4 decks of cards, and you are playing a 4X game.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that it belonged in that category until I sat down to make this list. And I was like, why do I like this game so much? Like, holy cow, I'm basically playing, Civilization.
Yes.
But I'm doing it in this incredibly cute, cartoony sort of way, and I'm even, as the Romans, I'm burning down other people's areas and, going out on the attack. But I think I've only played this maybe 3 or 4 times, but I've absolutely loved it. I was stoked to see that it's so high on your list.
Yeah.
And was it on your list, or?
I can't remember.
I think it was.
It would be lower.
Yeah.
I've only played it once. That
Right.
is also another reason
Right.
why it would not be high.
Well, and that's another reason why I'm excited to get this one back to the table, because I've played only the Japanese and the Romans, and I'm excited to see not even just the expansions. I'm excited to see how the Egyptians feel in
And the
comparison.
barbarians, yeah.
But
They're
again,
all really fun and unique.
Yeah. But just the this idea that with just so few cards, and there's a lot of maybe little scorekeeping tokens so that you can keep track of how much food you have, so on and so forth. But again, everything is basically just a deck of cards. I think TJ would like the auction mechanic that kind of goes into it, or at least the drafting.
Yeah, the drafting of I choose and
Yes,
I cut,
yes,
you
yes.
choose, and all that good stuff.
And Jack has destroyed me every time I've played this game as well. But man, I have a lot of fun with this one. It will take a while.
Yes, yeah.
But late in the game, when you start to see how some of these cards can combo, it's pretty amazing how you're really only allowed to take maybe 1 or 2 actions on your turn. But because this gets you this, gets you this, gets you this, gets you this, that by the end of it you just have this amazing card comboing that I think is really rewarding to kind of solve that puzzle. So, so that is my number 8, Imperial Settlers.
Yeah.
Solid pick.
Yep.
Again, I'm following up everybody here, mentioning a number for my number 8, a game that's already appeared on everybody's list now, and it's Lost Legacy. Oh, surprise! Lost Legacy, and I like it better than Love Letter, like hands down. The Love Letter, okay, I'll let you guys know. It didn't make my list. It didn't make my top 10. Not that it's bad. It's just not as interesting as Lost Legacy is.
You're hunting for the legacy.
Yes, because you have I don't know, Love Letter. You just want to be a highest number, keep the highest number in your hand, so that by the end of the game, if you're the only one left, then you get to deliver the note to the princess. That's the gist of Love Letter, right? But the Lost Legacy is a lot more interesting because yes, you're looking for the thing, you're looking for the Lost Legacy, and there's all these funny things that could happen. You could be holding on to it, and you're like, how do I get it out of my hands so that later on in the game I can guess where it is? And then maybe you'll put it into the ruins where you kind of put this bones of cards that get discarded, or not discarded, but you can hide them in the ruins. And then somebody else will put a card in the ruins, and then somebody else will mix up the cards in the ruins, and now you know that the Lost Legacy's in the ruins, but you don't know which card it is. and it's fun. It's really fun. I love like the logic puzzle and like back what Bryon was saying, like you just know enough that like maybe the action you're gonna take would be the right one, but it also could be drastically like terrible and you'd be out of the round. But it's fine. Like it's so quick that it doesn't matter. Like if you lose that round, it's like it's fine. And then you just start the new game, and it's great. I really like it. So Lost Legacy number 8.
Awesome. What do you got for your number 7?
Number 7. Let's take a look here. I don't think this is shown up on anyone's lists, but this is one I think will be a crossover. In fact, it might be this number for some people. My number 7 is a cooperative game, or I should rather say a semi-cooperative game, where it's perhaps a situation where you're all working together, but you always have your own motivations, and that's Dead of Winter. Yes, Dead of Winter, the post-apocalyptic survival
really
horror
me.
game. Yeah. Very thematic for the theme, for the mechanics that you go in, where you're trying to find these different supplies to keep your little colony going. And of course, like the little added twist on top of doing all like kind of normal, I would say, cooperative game things, is that you have your own special objective that you're trying to complete, as well as everyone else has their own special objectives to complete. Which I really like games that do have their own paths to victory, and I think this has a really good balance for that. Additionally, this game is so deep that you have a whole bunch of different modules that you can add in too. We actually have never played these ways, but you can play fully cooperative. You can play on super hard mode. You can play with more betrayers in the mix. So it really has a lot of room to open up, and it's a really immersive game for the theme and for the combination of mechanics. And it might be one of my favorite cooperative games.
Yeah. Well, I am certainly not going to disagree with anything you just said, which is perhaps a slight spoiler.
Yes, I am.
This might be coming up later on my list, but I think you just like it for the first player token. So.
That is good. That is good.
A
knife. A knife is the appropriate way. That should be every start player token.
Yeah. Up there with Evolution for the best first player token.
Yes.
Did this one already appear on your list?
It did. It
did. It did. Yes.
Yes. Now I understand why you were so surprised that it was so low.
Yes.
Well, I've only played it now 3 times. So it's solid. I really like it. My favorite part about Dead of Winter is actually I kind of see it a little bit like the role playing.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that bit where you're not necessarily doing something like logically to win the game, but rather seeing like what would happen if your main character, because you like have this like group of survivors that you're recruiting into your team, and then your team gets distributed out to these various locations as you're trying to like get the resources, and I like doing what the characters would do, not necessarily what I would do if I was in the situation. And I think that's like one of the best parts, is like getting into the theme of the character. So like I had this hilarious point where I get like a character called Greybeard, who does not work well with others, and he like is just going off and like shooting things and like putting everybody at risk, and like it made me look really bad, like as like just like me managing this team, and like Brion's like she's a traitor.
Oh yeah, I was convinced. You took that pirate, and I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
That's what the character would do.
I really enjoyed that game because you had him go out in a blaze of glory just like he would have.
Yeah,
so.
Yes,
exactly.
yeah,
It ran just like a Walking Dead episode.
Yes. Yeah, and you were making tough decisions in Dead of Winter, like to add the people, like I didn't talk about it, but the crossroads system where each round you have your own scenario that could potentially come up. It's not guaranteed, but it could come up, and you get this like kind of moral dilemma, but also like the crux of like, okay, do I want to like do what's right for the game, or do I want to do what's right for like what my people would do? So I mean, yeah, it is just a super immersive game for games that like really get into the theme. I think Dead of Winter does an excellent job.
Yeah, I love that moment when you're about to move your character and you're like, all right, I'm going to go to and somebody goes, stop! And they start reading the card and you're like, what, I have to decide whether to kill this horse, or now I have to feed the horse for the rest of the game, but it gives me a bonus, and yeah, just a ton of fun. I love the theme on that one too. Like I said, it might be coming up later on my list.
No idea. Anyway, Bryon, would you like to give us your number 7?
Alright, so my number 7, I have a strong inkling that this is going to come up on Jack's list a little bit later. This is one that I'm so sorry we have not gotten to play with you yet, because I am really looking forward to playing it with you. And that is another Vlada Chvátil game, which is Space Alert. I
did not
really
write
enjoy
down.
the. So this is a programming game,
Yep.
which is not necessarily a genre that I like that much, but I love. I love how tense this one is. We play with maybe an accidental variant. I don't know if we did this on purpose or not. Let me take a step back. The base idea is that you are all crew members on a spaceship, and terrible things are happening on this spaceship. Way too many things to handle at one time, and you are trying to program out a series of actions to address the difficult things that are happening on your ship. So you have enemy ships that are coming in. You have to be running around to different parts of the ships to power different levels of guns so that you can then aim those guns and fire them. Maybe you're being boarded by maybe different androids or all kinds of crazy things. And the level of communication, because you actually make all of these decisions in real time. You're programming in real time, and then at the end of maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes of programming, you're going to see how everything actually plays out. The level of communication that is required between you and your 4 crew members is just so intense. And oh man, I just love how much group problem solving you have to do, and it has to happen immediately. And we have done a really good job just kind of assigning different people to different roles, and I've had such a great experience when somebody says to me, oh my gosh, we got incoming on the right-hand side, and I'm like, no, I've already taken care of it. Like, I knew that was my job, I got over there, I fixed it. And when you play those moments out at the end, and you see that your team did it perfectly well, awesome. But more likely than not, somebody accidentally already took the elevator, so you fell down the elevator shaft, and
oh no!
And then you're boarded by aliens, and I forgot to push the button one time, and we're all dead. And we're all dead.
Yep.
This game has like no margin for error.
No.
And we haven't even played on hard mode.
No.
We're playing on the standard mode. One downside of the game is that it takes a really long time to teach.
It does. There's a barrier of entry to get into that because not most people have played programming games. Not most people have played these situations where you're reacting. But yes, that thankfully it has a really good intro scenario.
It does.
Blanche Avato, at least the intense games that he makes, he does a very good job of having an introductory scenario that you can start out and you can work your way into the more deeper concepts. But once you're in it, everything makes sense. Everything's super, in my mind, just like, oh, of course, like, I would do a move up, move down, and, like, this is what I would do. And, of course, over time, like, I would no longer be able to see my movement. Of course, that's something, like, I would have known what I already did in that sequence of turns. So, yes, I agree, Bryon. I think it's a very good game.
Yeah, and just this idea of having to think 6 turns ahead and coordinate with your friends who are also thinking 6 turns ahead just gets ridiculous and stressful. And did I fire those torpedoes? Did I actually have the cards in the right sequence to do the thing? I love this one, and I don't know, it's great because it's only 10 minutes each mission, but it feels so intense that you're just sweating bullets, and just the payoff at the end, watching how things play out, is just a ton of fun. We've had some great nights with this one, so that is, that's my number 7, Space Alert.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, but there was this really fun review I read by Shut Up and Sit Down where they were comparing Space Cadets and Space Alert side by side.
Yes.
And talking about like they're kind of like not similar, but like in a ways that like the teamwork is, and where like Space Cadets is like this fun, silly game that you get to play, and like people are goofing off and like messing up left and right, and so on and so forth in Space Cadets. Whereas Space Alert is 10 minutes of brown pants inducing frenzy, like trying to keep control. It sounds fun, so I'd love to play.
Yes. Yeah. Great one. We'll have a good time.
Especially since Jack has a copy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just have to get it to the table.
All right. What do you got for your number 7?
Look. Oh, really? That's 7? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I already mentioned this earlier when I was kind of introducing myself. My number 7 is Sentinels of the Multiverse. Yeah, so this game, I know there are problems with this game because it doesn't have, let me back up. Sentinels of the Multiverse is this really great comic universe, essentially, where you have a ton of superheroes and villains, and you have these different environments that you get to play in. In each game, you get to kind of like structure, okay, who's going to play what superhero, what villain are we going to go up against, and where is this all going to go down? and the company that like has put these out, there's been like 8 expansions. We might own all but one. And
It's like printing money at this point.
like, yeah. But there, oh gosh, like there's something just so great about being able to like get in the mind of like, hey, I'm a superhero and I'm like battling this villain. And for me and Rick, we usually actually play this game as a 2-player. So each of us are controlling 2 superheroes, and then we're working together. And my superheroes might work together, or maybe one of my superheroes works with one of his superheroes, and we're all trying to work together in like this team base. It's a very cooperative game. I should have led with that, but it's a very cooperative game where you're trying to defeat the villain, and you can play the villain on hard or regular. If you play regular at this point, like we know the game so well that like we really need to challenge ourselves. We either play it on hard or we play down a superhero, which you can do, and then you have to like have fewer resources that you get to manage and try and like maximize the outputs like of damage to the villains. Some of the villains though are super creative, and I really enjoy the fact that like each situation that you can set up, there might be different mechanics at play, like in the villains, which is really great. So one of the villains is this child who's asleep, and she only has 6 hit points. She only has 6 health points, and you're not supposed to kill the child because she's not the actual villain. You're trying to wake her up, and that's like the point of that particular battle that you're playing.
Her
nightmares are what are attacking you, and so you're trying to like kill the nightmares that are being manifested because she's got these like psychic superpowers, and like wake her up, and so like you have to kill them, and then you get to try and wake her up, and stuff is happening, and it's that one's really interesting. There's this other one which is super hard. We've never won. It's the chairman. It's impossible to kill the chairman, especially if you're going to play it, which I insist thematically that if you're playing a villain, you need to play in the environment that is related to them. So the chairman is like this I don't know, black figure that you don't really ever get to know who he is, and controlling
kind of in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Controlling Rook City, except when you see the sign for Rook City, there's somebody has spray painted and graffitied a C in front of it. So it's Crook City. I don't know. Sentinels is just really great, and you can bang out a game. Like usually you could do it like in an hour, or you could do something incredibly epic and play it on hard mode. And you can play for 2. So there's it could be a really good evening of entertainment. Some of the really fun flavor of this game, and like I know Bryon likes to play this on his iPhone, which is wrong, Bryon. You need the cards. The artwork on the cards is completely incredible. Like they've spent so much time doing this, and designing them, and they even have these little flavor texts, like little excerpts from these comic books that each of these superheroes are from. And as like you're playing and you're looking through your hand and like figuring out what you're going to do next, you can also immerse yourself in like this comic book reading experience, which is really unique and interesting. And you can read the little snippets that are happening, which are like often quite comical or like really action-packed. The game has a lot to offer, especially with the different types of mechanics that each hero has to bring to the table. Some of them are pretty bland, some of them are just like straight DPS, like straight just damage. But if you, and that's really great to like start the game with somebody, like playing one of the more simple characters to manage. But some of the really creative ones, there's this really interesting one called Setback, where you manage his unlucky tokens, which you use with a pair of a dice, and gosh, you should play it. It's in my top 10. It might not be in yours, but it's definitely worth a play if you haven't tried it yet. So that's my number 7, Sentinels of the Multiverse.
Well, it did make my top 50, and you're absolutely right that it's just so evocative with the artwork on there. You kind of can't help but imagine these Marvel team-up type moments where you've got, this hero is suddenly, why would this hero be working with this hero? And you just kind of can't help but...
make the story in your head.
Yeah, you kind of can't help but actually see the comic book unfolding. It took me a little while to come around on this one, but the more I play it, the more I like it. And you're right, I do very much enjoy the Steam app of this one. But you're right that then you lose the camaraderie. But I do think it's a great superhero game. There's maybe another great superhero deck building game out there.
I wonder what that is.
Have you played this one at all?
Yes, I have. And what I was going to say is, just add on what you were saying, Sarah, is one of the great things about this is that you have that really unique mechanism that comes in with the villains and the heroes, which are very thematic.
And the environments.
And the environments.
Yeah.
What I also liked was how each character had their own individual deck, and that they're bringing out their own theme through that deck. You were talking a little bit about the artwork and the and how they play out and all that, and what's the flavor text. And I also think that does a really good job at immersing you in the game, immersing you in that theme. I also love how all of the heroes are like knockoff DC and Marvel heroes. That's just like hilarious. Like the little asides that you can clearly tell who they're making fun of, or maybe they're combinations of people.
Like Superman is called Legacy in this version.
Yeah.
You have Batman is a female, and her name is the Wraith. But like clearly, like know what they're doing, and like she's got like a utility belt, and it's like, oh, this is Batman.
Well, and the more you get into superheroes, you realize that there's only so many superhero archetypes, whether that's the X-Men or the so on and so forth, and
they've come up with some really interesting ones that are very unique, though, which is also something really awesome. I mean, I'm sure that like somebody has written a comic about this, but I am not exposed to it. So there's this really interesting girl. Her name is Unity. And like her kind of character looks like a girl who might be like a car mechanic of sorts, and her ability is to be able to like pull metal objects and things and, like with her mind, like in this like weird telekinesis, but only with machinery, and she can then construct new things, new bots. One of the fun things about that character, they make references that aren't necessarily to comic books too. They have construct pylon, and then you can deconstruct a pylon.
Yes, very good.
So they have like there's this wide range of like really incredible like references and fun little I don't know, Easter eggs when you're playing the game. And I mean, if you get all the expansions, then yeah, like it just never ends. But like it's good. It's a good game.
And we should move on to our next ones. But just out of curiosity, how many times do you, if you had to guesstimate, do you think that you and your husband have played this game?
It is probably the most played game in my list. It is the most played game.
Well, it's fun just to hear you talk about it, because I know it's one that I enjoy, and it's fun to hear you talk about it, and just even the extra level of how much enjoyment you get out of it. So
I love it. It's great. You get to make connections between different superheroes, kind of synergizing together, and it's kind of it's cool. It's
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Number 6?
Yeah, we're on number 6.
Yeah, we'll go on to number 6 here. Yes. This is one that perhaps was just mentioned. It's Space Alert.
Right.
Yes, I also really, really love Space Alert for all the reasons we just talked about. It is amazingly immersive. I love the mechanics. For like a programming game, it is just like spot on. And I feel like there's so many other games that have evolved out of it as like cooperative games in the same genre with the same mechanics. So I think it does an excellent job for everything. The one thing that I think you were going to mention, Bryon, that I'll just mention here, is the one kind of house rule that we do play is for the communications officer.
I forgot, yes.
The person that was coming, that gets all the bad news of what's incoming, is designated to a significant officer, certain player. And the way that we play, that person is the only person that can hear what's going on, and they have to communicate that to the rest of the team. So in the midst of trying to plan everything out and do programming and coordination, you're getting this person that comes out of nowhere that's like, incoming, threat for Zone 1. Or in a worse situation, communications down, in which the whole game stops, everyone just stops, can't say anything, we all wait for the communication officer, the communication has been resumed, and then we can continue talking. So it is just great. As far as, I don't think I have anything else like it, as far as a ship crew on a ship trying to manage situations. It's great for, people really into...
Definitely brown pants and
Yes, exactly. It is just so stressful putting all that stuff together.
We definitely get that on the shelf.
Yeah. Well, and like you were saying, typically everyone could hear that voice coming through the computer. Is typically how we play it. So a little bit like Escape, it has a soundtrack that goes along with it. But instead, Jack is usually the communications officer.
Yeah.
And there's nothing quite like when Jack is suddenly saying communications down, and you're sitting there going, yeah, I gotta move my guy, and I gotta tell Ben what to do, but I can't. So we also play with kind of a hilarious little thing that does not make or break the game in any way, shape, or form. We use Jack's customized meeples to play this game.
That is very important.
They are not necessary in any way, shape, or form, but it is absolutely hilarious when I am using my monkey to climb down the stairs so that I can activate the weapons system.
Space Monkey, it's perfect. It makes sense.
The Space Monkey.
Couldn't agree with you more. It is a great, and I'm so glad you remembered to talk about our little variant, because that really just makes the game for me.
It does. It sets it apart from a lot of other games that have similar themes. Yeah. So that's number 6.
My number 6 is a party game, and I think it's the only party game on my top 10. It's a game that takes a very well-known theme and just twists it just enough so that it's its own unique thing, and that is monikers, also known as Time's Up or Celebrity, I think it is.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I know it's appeared earlier on your list.
Didn't think it was
Wow.
I love monikers.
I like you more now, Bryon.
Yeah.
I like you.
I have never seen monikers fail. I have never seen monikers fail. It is a great time. Does not matter the group I'm playing with.
Exactly.
Sarah one time managed to convince my mother and father to play this game with her, and that is not my mom's type of game whatsoever. And I knew that I drew the card something but naked, and I now have to pantomime to my mother, and I'm just sitting here going, "Oh my gosh!"
Those are those precious moments you never get back.
You play 3 rounds with the same cards that you're attempting to get other people to guess. In the first round, you're allowed to say anything except for the word itself. In the second round, you use those exact same cards. You're only allowed to say one word to try and get people to guess. And in the final round, you're just doing charades. And just the sort of, I don't think metagame is quite the right phrase, but watching how various symbols grow to mean something.
Oh yeah.
And
the game of telephone that happens during this game is hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I have just had some great moments watching our friend Eric, who I'm not trying to make fun of him here, but watching him try and do Charizard, and he's sitting here going, and I'm like, are you having a stroke? What's going on right now? But
we don't want to talk about your version of Afro.
Afros clearly go like this. All right, Afros are
clearly it's a very divisive game.
Oh man,
A divisive game that we all love.
I don't know that I've ever only played one complete game of monikers, one 3-round game, because everyone always wants to play it again immediately.
Yeah. Wow.
Works great for even just 2 couples. It works great for maybe 10 people.
Yeah.
So probably the best party game that I can think of.
It's really good.
You know, for some reason, it doesn't seem to bother people who are a little bit more introverted. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because everyone's being ridiculous together. But it's something that I really appreciate. So that's my number 6, monikers.
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my turn. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this game is a 2-player game, and there's some contention to how often it's been played. And it's a deck builder, and it's Star Realms.
Yes.
Come on.
Kelsey praise. Star Realms is a deck builder, and it's in my top 10. It's kind of like crazy because I don't do deck builders yet, really. But the only other deck builder that I kind of like is also like Harry Potter, which I know is going to upset Bryon because I kind of have an idea what's going to happen on his list in either like 1 or 2 spots. But I like Star Realms. So like there's two players, and you're basically like duking it out in space, and there's various faction cards that have different kind of strengths and abilities that you're building into your deck. Like the mechanics are super simple for a 2-player game. I haven't played it more than that. I just like with the 4-person variants or whatever else they have. I think 2 players is perfect because you can like take that deck of cards, because it's not a very large deck. It's a little bit larger than a regular 52. Maybe like 2. That's like 100 cards or something. But you can take it anywhere, and like you can play it like on the floor of an airport or in a pizza parlor, which I have done with my friend Sarah. I brought it with me, and I was like, "Want to play a game?" And then we just like broke it out, and I taught her there, and we had played a game before the pizza had even gotten out to the table. So it's also a really quick game too, which is nice. And yeah, I just think it's like super solid, and I really also like 2-player games because those tend to be easier to get out and played with than the larger ones. But yeah, I've played that game quite a few times with very many different people, and every time I play it, I enjoy it. So even if I lose, yeah.
No, it's a great one. I'm a sucker for deck builders. I mean, there's something about that slow build up really works for me.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's quick. It's fast. It's head to head.
doesn't overstay its welcome, which is important for me. I like games that drag, or like my attention gets like lost during the game. Those like go down, but Star Realms is up there.
It can also have some really great, tense, down to the wire moments where, you feel like, man, I just did so much damage in one turn, and the other person just heals that exact same amount of damage. But
Yeah. It's like the turnaround, or like you're just one hand away from winning. It just that your opponent plays their hand better first than you can. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. So what does that take us to? We're on to...
Did that show up on either of your lists?
I don't think it
did not show up on my list.
Oh, it's not in the top 50.
I really enjoyed it. It's quick, it's light, it's fun. I like the head-to-head aspect. It's just that I tend to have a harder time getting two-player games out to the table. But
that's so weird.
Yeah, because it's the exact opposite for you.
It's so opposite, but yeah.
What's that take us to? Number 5.
Number five. Is I'll just say it, it's my favorite hidden movement game. Even greater than theirs from Whitechapel, and that's Nuns on the Run. Nuns on the Run. That's Naughty Novices Dodging Discovery.
Naughty Novices.
That's the tagline of Nuns on the Run.
Oh my god, that's so great.
So it is.
Oh my gosh.
It's an interesting hidden movement game because, as opposed to many people hunting down one person, it's one or two people hunting down many people. All the novices are getting out, they're trying to get their secret wish and get back into their dormitory before they get caught a certain number of times. And just purely based on the fact that it's that reversal of that system and a little bit of the theme, I think it does an excellent job. I think Letters from Whitechapel has more solid mechanics to it, but I think Nuns on the Run does, as far as those two things, it has a better job as far as the hidden movement system as you try to move around the Abbey and get your secret wish. So I like it a lot, and it's led to a lot of hilarious moments, including the first time that we played the game, where we were all in the courtyard. Little did we know, because you don't know where the other novices are, and the abbess came right out and saw all of us. So it instantly became a team wipe, complete team wipe there as we were all caught. But it's great. That's run.
Do you enjoy being the nuns more, or do you enjoy being the students more in this?
I like both. I don't think I could pick either one.
Okay.
I mean, it's stressful on both ends of the stick, so it's good. I like it either way.
Yeah. Nuns on the Run almost made my top 10. It is great. I agree with you that maybe some of the other hidden movement games are a little bit more serious or better mechanics, but just the sheer hilarity of, you think you're doing great, and then Ben makes a noise, and Ben happens to be standing right next to you, but you didn't have any idea. And I love that the nuns are stuck on a route, and they can only deviate from that route when a noise is made. And so it's so stressful playing as the nuns, because you might actually have a novice right behind you, and you have no idea. And so the stress levels are just so intense on both sides, as you have no idea that you actually have almost won the game. And you could win the game, or maybe you completely fail. So, but I also really enjoy, this is one where we kind of actually map out where people were afterwards. We actually kind of run through at the end, and there's some great moments where you realize that somebody was standing literally right behind you the entire time. But this is a good one. This is a good one. But how many times have you played this one?
I think 4.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid number.
Yeah. And the last time I was the abbess.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy being the student more or the abbess more?
I have to stay with Jack on this one. It's really hard to choose because both of them are fun for different reasons.
Gotcha. I really enjoy playing as I think I might prefer playing as the abbess. And but for about half the game, you have no idea if you're doing well or doing poorly.
Idea.
Yeah, you're just sitting there going, I hope, but
I think the most infuriating part about being the abbess is like seeing everybody's running and you're like, I have to be getting some noise tokens.
Yes.
I know you're running, like I'm hearing you, but where are you?
I also love that amongst the so it's the secret wishes that the girls are trying to get, and most of them are like a letter from her boyfriend or some extra cake. And then one of them's looking for laudanum, which is a little bit like, okay, all right, apparently she wants a drug. And then one of them is the Necronomicon.
Oh, yeah, Book of the Dead on that one.
What is that nun in training doing? But
Our naughty novices, that's
Naughty
for sure.
novices.
Yes, I completely agree with you. That is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
That is a great one.
Yep.
So is your number 5?
That was my number 5.
Well, my number 5, I just said I actually don't like programming games that much, and maybe I do actually, because number 5, Cult of the New here, is Mechs vs. Minions.
Yeah.
So this is my new baby. Just overproduced to the teeth. This game is gorgeous. Some of the best arts and miniatures I've ever seen in a game. We actually have not played it that much. We've only gotten through maybe 2 scenarios, but it combines a couple of things that work really well for me, and that's I love campaign games. I love games that you reveal and actually grow more as you play them. This one's even got a little bit of a legacy feel where there are actual new components hidden inside of envelopes in the game. And as you move forward and beat new missions, not only do you unlock new abilities, but maybe actual new components are going to come into the game. And again, because each component is just so beautiful and the whole box is just a labor of love, I love every time this gets to the table. I'm going to need to play it a few more times. It really might fall lower down on my list. Right now, it's just the presentation value is just so high that every time that I get the box out, I like getting the box out. So we'll see if actual more plays moves that down a little bit. But for now, Mechs vs. Minions, absolutely solid.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that down on the list.
Yeah. That's been my let's get this out.
Yeah, it's good. It's solid.
Yeah, I also do enjoy just moments where I am off in the corner thinking that I'm trying to help everyone, and I am shoving people to the left and to the right and spearing forward into nothingness and completely missing the
Running
minions.
somebody's
And
chain lightning.
I have a lot to learn about actually how to work as a cohesive unit of mechs in this one. But
yeah, it has the same thing in Space Alert where you have to cooperatively coordinate that programming, because you can't have somebody who's just turning in circles the whole game. You have to get them out there doing something, and now you have to work together. You have to make sure you're managing those resources of the cards appropriately.
so that's my number 5, Mechs vs. Minions. What we got next for you?
So it's another 2-player.
Okay.
Yeah, it's another 2-player game. It's very classic. I think everybody knows this game, and it's not a niche board game, guys. So this is the only game that I'm going to probably disappoint you on my list.
That's not true. There's multiple games there.
Oh gosh, right here. Yeah.
Sorry, continue to say this.
So this game, and I'm going to bring the board out.
Oh, we're getting a prop here.
Don't get that barrel of monkeys. Not the barrel of monkeys. Oh, never mind.
It's chess.
Oh,
Chess is a classic.
All right, that's fine. That's acceptable. That is an acceptable choice.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's no fun theme really. I mean, you've got a knight. You've got knights are my favorite piece to play with, by the way. So if you get them out early for me, then like my strategies is usually tanked. But I don't know. It's a classic game. I can play with anybody in my family. I can play with almost anybody that I know. It's also really easy to just teach somebody how the pieces move. For me, chess is not like, I'm not a chess master. I don't play like that. I'm a very casual chess player. And I just like to see like the interesting strategies that develop between me and whomever I'm playing. Most often it's Rick and we're picking up a game at Tifa and getting a cup of gelato while we're playing this game. I will never win a game of chess against him. I've tried. I've gotten really close. He gets cocky a couple of times, but like I never end up pulling out that win. But I don't know, chess is just such a solid, like, mechanics based, it's like all mechanics, like you have the pieces, they move a specific way, there's no, like, questions about, like, oh, well, let me check the rule book. Like, it's just, you can just do it. I mean, you can make your own chessboard. It's like one of my favorite things about chess sets is the different kind of like themes that people like to slap on them. You know, like I've seen some really incredible Lord of the Rings chess sets. I've seen some really like for a long while I like collected mermaids and I was like really into like sea captains and like boats and mermaids and so like seeing a bunch of those carved out of wood was really fascinating for me. Like people would reclaim driftwood and then carve chess pieces out of them. I don't know. It's kind of like this perfect mix of like art that people do, and then there's this really solid game that you can play with another person, and the games usually don't take very long. Plus, when you get to Tomorrow Bay and you get like the life-size chess pieces and you get to like
That is pretty
move
cool.
those big suckers around,
That's pretty
it's just also just really fun. So there's like the thing about like chess, it's like yes, it's a game and it's very standard. It doesn't have a lot of excitement really necessarily within it, other than this like tete-a-tete that you have with one other person. But some of the things that people do with the game itself, like just like how they make it or how they present it, it's just really beautiful. Really interesting, and can oftentimes be just very fun. So that's my number 5. I've played. Okay, so I said Sentinels was the game that I played most. Sentinels is the game I played most. That is not like this classic kind of game. It's just like this very niche like board game. It's gonna be a board game geek kind of thing. And chess is like the most played game that I have ever played.
I'll certainly agree with you that there are just some gorgeous chess sets out there, and that I kind of like the idea of chess almost more than the game itself. I just love looking at chess sets and just kind of this idea that it's a game that's been around for centuries upon centuries upon centuries.
It is. There's a lot of history to it. Yeah, but being able to play with those pieces of art is also really great too. So it's, I don't know, it's art that could have function. No, it doesn't. But it's fun. It's good. I really enjoy chess, and that's my number 5. I've played it more, and I will continue to play it, and I'll continue to lose, and that'll be okay. Because every single time, like, I'm learning something new, trying out a new strategy that might fall on its face, and yeah, I just really like it. I'm like totally not into like 5-minute chess games, by the way. That I'm like totally staying away from like that community. This is just like casual chess playing and playing with like just people in your family, and I just really enjoy it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And old men in parks.
That's right.
Those are the two.
Yep. Yep.
You're gonna have a cool hat.
Hustlers.
You're gonna be in.
Of course, it comes with the territory.
And the tinfoil hats. Okay.
Yeah, that's a different group in the park. All right, number 4. How many?
Yep, we're on to number 4.
4. All right, this is a crossover with TJ, and I feel like it'll show up on someone else's list here in the top 10. It is it's my favorite logic puzzle cooperative game, and that's Hanabi. A good old Antoine Bauza with his fireworks. That is just a solid pick. Hanabi, just the general premise. You're all firework technicians who apparently have been blinded in the line of work, and have to create a sequence of fireworks in the appropriate order. So just the amount of deduction and the amount of information given, it's just like in cryptos, every little bit of information gives you something, which of course my famous line is, everyone?
What do you know?
What don't you know?
Exactly. And that's the most important part.
Word, not the what do you know.
What don't you know? Exactly. So I love it. Of course, it doesn't help that I've gone away from the card version to the Mahjong tile version. It really just takes it to the next level. But for me, this is just perfect. It's like one of the most perfect cooperative logic puzzle games that I just can't say enough good things about it. I don't know. Obviously, it's already appeared on TJ's list.
Call me out.
No, it's already appeared on TJ's list. So I don't know how you guys feel about Hanabi.
I'm pretty sure you know how I feel about Hanabi.
Okay, Bryon, how do you feel about Hanabi?
I am so sorry.
Now that you're already getting your sour opinion from earlier, let's bring that back up.
I'm so sorry. I'm just not a Hanabi fan. I am stressed the whole time I play it, but as I am stressed in Space Alert in such a great way, I'm just terrified to let my team down while I'm playing Hanabi. And it's just
that's probably just me.
You know, it's
playing with me.
It's not so much the deduction element that I dislike, because I do like deduction games. For me, it's the memory portion of it that is just so stressful as I'm sitting here.
And just think 3 turns ago.
In fact, there may be a video out there somewhere of me very confidently holding up cards and being like, this is a green 4 and this is a yellow 2, and it is just 100% wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, just 100% wrong. And that great moment when Jack looks at you and goes, so, but what don't you know?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, oh no. So I played the 4? Oh!
Yeah.
No, it is a very well designed game, and I will give it props for that. I dislike the lack of tabletop table talk in it, at least for me, because so much of my mind is based on the memory. But
And we even play with a generous amount of tabletop.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
actually not
that's
supposed to
true.
play with
Yes.
that much, but it makes it more fun. And at the end of the day, you're trying to have fun playing the game, so it doesn't matter that you're not exactly hearing to what you can
Following
and
the
can't
rules.
say.
Yeah.
It's fine. So anyway, that's my number 4.
Very good.
very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. When you started talking about your favorite logical cooperative game, I was going in a completely different direction. So I'm
Ah.
excited to see if what I thought was going to be on there is on there.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
My number 4 is perhaps a wonderful marriage between Eurogame mechanics and a wonderful theme, and that is Robinson Crusoe, or Caruso. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely love this game. It is a straightforward co-op. There's no hidden traitor, nothing like that. But every decision that you are making is a risk. Everything you do is a gamble. It is an incredibly tight game where you and the other survivors of a shipwreck are attempting to either get enough wood together to create a bonfire to try and signal a ship, or maybe you've come across a cursed island and you're trying to remove the curse from the island. There's several different scenarios, but regardless of what scenario you're playing, you always have a choice of, do I use an entire day to complete an action, or do I try and split up my time and end up having to roll the dice to see if I was successful? So if I do one task in the morning and one task in the afternoon, I'm going to have to roll the dice on both of those and see what happens. And I love that you really don't have the option to always play it safe. In fact, if you only play it safe, you will lose the game.
Yep.
And this is one of the few games that I have played and been just absolutely trounced the first time playing it, and been like, but that was a great game. And like, we got to do this again. We got to do this again. It's one of the few games that I actually keep a score sheet written down for how well we did. By all accounts, this type of game wouldn't necessarily be one that I would go to as a favorite for me, but I have enjoyed playing this game with Jack many, many times. We played it 2-player, 3-player, 4-player.
Isn't there cannibalism?
There is a cannibal scenario.
It's not built in, it's just one of the scenarios that you're on a cannibal island, but you're not cannibalizing the other players.
I think I've seen your score sheet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Has cannibal spelled 3 different ways?
Yes. Well, cannibal, cannibal.
It's cannibal.
Cannibal. Yeah, you're able to do it.
But another thing about it that I like, I also very much enjoy it, is there's a lot of different things going on. Like you were talking about how to spend your time. I mean, you're gathering resources, you're developing these inventions, you're dealing with, what are we going to eat tomorrow? Are we going to have enough shelter for tomorrow? Like, very in-depth thematic things. For you to spend your time doing in the game, and of course, like you said, nothing's 100%.
Right. And that damn morale tracker at the bottom of the board is just you're just never satisfied. You're just never satisfied, and that is perhaps the biggest difficulty. Is okay, all of these things are necessary, but if we don't address the fact that our people are miserable, we're going to start taking health as a loss. And so many other things are already moving down your health, and I mean, at some point, we're doing everything we can just to barely survive. There's really no winning solidly in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, you scrape to victory, and that's a great moment. But I love that you're sitting there, and there are so many things you need to do, but you only have such limited time to do them. That each decision you make is really, really great. And we've had some hilarious moments where I was, much to my chagrin, just designated as the hunter. Which sounds cool, but really I was just armed with a shiny stick and like, go fight that giant gorilla. It'll be fine, Bryon. It'll be fine. You'll do great.
Don't worry, Bryon. It won't be a gorilla this time. It'll just be like a little tortoise. You'll be fine. Oh, it was a jaguar. Oh, sorry, Bryon. That was bad. That was our bad.
And the game just has this wonderful thing where you might stumble across an event, and you have the option to either go ahead and address this event now and maybe take a bad thing, or take a good thing and shuffle that event back into the deck, and it's going to come back to bite you. Or maybe it'll come back and be good, but it's probably going to come back to bite you. And so we play with a house rule that you are not allowed to look at what the future thing will be, and you just have to go with your gut, which actually seems to be being implemented in the, not expansion for this game, but kind of a 2.0, the first Martians.
Yeah, the new implementation of it. Although I hear there's many significant differences between it. It's just similar systems.
But that'll probably be an insta-buy just because we've had so much fun with this one. I could go on and on about it, but we should probably move on. But Robinson Crusoe, just an incredibly solid game.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right. Number 4. I'm gonna build some suspense up while I figure out where I wrote my thing. Oh my god, where did I write this?
Somewhere in your recording paper?
Yes, it is. Alright, so this is not a 2-player game. This is a group game. It gets better with more people, I think, although there is a cap. So it's actually logic based. There's some solid logic mechanic built into this game. It's competitive, and it's a drawing game. It's Pictomania. It's like
I
my favorite drawing game by far because this. Okay, like I said before, in like other drawing games, like you don't have to be a very good artist in order to play. Pictomania, you can be absolute trash, and that's totally fine because of the logic element that's built into it. You can puzzle your way into like, okay, well, if somebody drew that, then like there's this one other thing that hasn't been drawn yet. That has to be what they're trying to do, and so then you can like get points that way. Jack explains it because it's on your list. Have you explained it?
I have.
Yeah, that's right. You've explained it.
It's not easy to explain.
It's not. You really have to play it. It is so much fun. We even got Ben to play it, and he had fun playing it.
Yeah. It does bring out like people who can't draw. It gives them the opportunity to get involved in the game. Because you could play the game just guessing, and you don't necessarily have to draw. But it disincentivizes you from doing that. It incentivizes you to do a very good balance of both. To be a very quick drawer and to be a good guesser.
Yes. So I think they really covered the bases, or Vladislav covered his bases when he was designing it, because it's so darn clever. It's got logic. I don't know, I'm a sucker for like the little logic puzzles in it, and drawing. So like it puts two things that like I absolutely love together.
Peanut butter, chocolate.
Yes.
Right there.
Yep, and bananas.
Anyway, moving on.
One thing that I really like about that game that I didn't go into much when I was just doing my written review of it is I love how the difficulty scales. And that when you start doing some of those, I forget what color it is. It's the purple cards or the red cards.
The purples are the most hard. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you know what somebody's category is, but you're just absolutely just befuddled as to what type of ball they are drawing. You know, it's a basketball, a soccer ball, so on and so forth. It's a bad example, but.
No, like I had a really good one where like somebody had to draw boats, and so like, is it a canoe? Is it a rowboat? Is it a all of these might look really similar, and so like it's hard, but the logic will save you because you're gonna look at what other people are drawing as well and go like, oh okay, it has to be this.
As long as you don't guess the number that you have.
Yes.
That's that embarrassing
moment. That's the worst.
Yes. Oh wait, I had that number.
Yeah, it can't possibly be that. You're right. There is a logic element to it because you're like, oh, I've used the 5, the 4, and the 3, so it can only be the. That's interesting. I'm usually just going.
Oh no, I'm like totally in the puzzle mode too. Like sometimes the drawings like instantly like I recognize that is this and like I'll put it down. But like the difference between
Odysseus.
Yes.
The difference between a sweater and a blouse. That
yes.
Can be
Oh my gosh. A sweater and a blouse.
Yeah. So that was a good one. So good. I'm glad that brought up. But yeah, so Pictomania. That's my number 4. It's so solid. It's so solid. It's so
also, I hesitate to use the word party game because it only plays like 5 or 6, but I think
6.
It goes up to 6, yeah.
I'm laughing so hard when we play it that I feel like I'm playing a party game because I just have I've just had so much fun by the end of it, and it's weird because you can get competitive with it.
Yes.
With a lot of party games like monikers, we never even really keep score.
No, we never do.
Which actually
that's the right way to play.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of a like, but did we win for me? But in Pictomania, I love that there actually is this great pivot moment between do I spend more time on my drawing, or is it time for me to just start guessing?
Yeah.
Because a certain number of points, like you said, that balance is great. So. Yeah. And some great high five moments when you're like, no, I knew that it was this Greek hero, not that Greek hero, because of that little thing you did there. But solid choice. I love that game.
Yeah.
But solid choice.
Quick break before we do our top 3.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's start out with number 3.
Number 3 has already mentioned on someone else's list, and I knew this was going to be a crossover. It is I should have misspoken, or I shouldn't have misspoken. This is one of my favorite cooperative logic puzzle games. And it's Robinson Crusoe by Ignacy Trzewiczek. And yes, for all the reasons that you just described, how it's a bare-knuckle survival in all those different scenarios, I love it. It does an excellent job of carrying out the theme, and kind of like what we were talking about. You have all those different things you have to do and have to take care of on a deserted island, including your morale, and you can't get anything done. You can only get half of the things you got planned for the day done in that day, and so it's trying to manage that resource of time as well as everything else that's going on, and eventually just trying to complete what the overall objective is. So yeah, I really enjoy Robinson Crusoe. Again, it's a really fun game.
One of my favorite memories of playing Robinson Crusoe with you, every time I would roll the green dice, I would go on an adventure. I was trying to gather things, and I would find a sword or a gun or something that was super helpful. And Jack would find a pile of money, which is useless because you're stranded on a deserted island. Or just every time Jack would search for something, it would just be
I got attacked by an animal.
Yeah.
I ate a bad kind of berry.
Yes, you ate poisonous berries. But yeah, that is one of my favorite games that we have played together. And like I said earlier, I'm just repeating myself now. It scales up and down really, really well.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
And it's got Friday. Forgot to mention Friday and the dog.
That's right.
Excellent.
That dog is crucial.
The dog is crucial. Actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why you like Dead of Winter so much.
Yes.
It's Sparky.
Sparky the Wonder Dog.
Yeah, that's a consistent theme on mine.
All
my
have
games have top dogs.
Speaking of Sparky and Dead of Winter, my number 3 is in fact Dead of Winter. So we're flip-flopping here.
We're flip-flopping.
I will now agree with everything that Jack said earlier about Dead of Winter. I love the tense atmosphere that happens because everyone has their own secret objective, and so you're always incentivized to do something that helps you just a little bit more than it actually helps the colony, which just makes everyone a little bit paranoid because why in the world didn't you put medicine cards into the pile that's going to help out with the current not controversy, what's the crisis? Thank you.
Yes.
The current crisis, and you've been digging over in the hospital for 2 turns and you haven't put any medicine cards in there. That's highly suspicious, and you're not actually a traitor. It's just that you're the junkie.
Yes.
And, you need to be collecting as much medicine as you can. I love it a ton. As much paranoia inducing moments as it has, we've actually never had a traitor in a game that we've played, or at least not that I have.
No.
Which is pretty hilarious because I am. Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's very interesting, and I called it. It was a game we were playing with Eric, and he just kept rolling for exposure, and I'm like, guys, he's the traitor. He's going to kill us. That tooth is going to come up, and everybody in the colony is going to get infected. And he's like, no. I mean, it's like what my character would do. I'm like, you're the traitor. I know it. And he was. He totally was.
Well, and I really like what you said, that there's just kind of this role-playing aspect to it where,
yes.
And even though it's now I'm kind of parroting what's been said by a lot of people, it's not really a zombie game. It's that there's a constant threat which is forcing you to band together, and that's really just in the background, and it's really much more of the constant threat of whatever else is out there that is forcing you to band together and make these tight decisions. So I love it. I mean, the theme works really well for me. I love the...
could be like a nuclear holocaust thing. Where you have, Fallout. There you go. You can make it a Fallout.
You can put a different skin on it, but I love it. I love the crossword cards. And to this day, one of our good friends, I had almost like a knockdown, drag-out argument with him about whether or not to throw this teenage girl into the snow because she had been stealing our supplies.
Well, and she was pregnant.
Oh, and she was pregnant. Yeah,
I think that was the bigger issue.
Yeah,
we were definitely going to keep the baby as well, or we were going to actually keep her.
Yes, and I felt so bad for this completely fictional teenager that would have been a useless mouth to feed for the rest of the game. And poor Nick is trying to rationalize with me, like,
there you go.
Bryon, this is a game. It's not really a teenage, and I'm sitting here, you're going to punish the pregnant teenager because she made one mistake, you're going to send her to die, her blood is on your hands.
Oh my God.
It's just like, come on, man, let's win the game. So, but any game that can get me that worked up is clearly doing something right. With this game.
I love the role play though.
Yeah,
I would have totally been on your side.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But in hindsight, Nick had a perfectly good.
Oh,
argument.
Totally.
He had a perfectly good argument, and I was probably getting a little too into it. But
it has to do with the mindset when you enter the game, and it's really built for the role playing though. It really is. If you're just going to treat it like mechanics only, then it's.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. But yeah, Dead of Winter, my number 3, one of my favorite games of all time.
Very cool. Oh, my number 3.
Yes.
So, like so many of the games on my list, it's TJ's fault that I both love this game and own a copy. And this one is Isle of Skye, not to anybody's surprise.
Okay.
I really like Isle of Skye. And I've played it now with every group or like every number possible. So it goes like 2 to 4 or 2 to 4. Yeah, it goes 2
No,
to 4.
5.
It
There's
does go to
5.
5?
There's 5 colors in the
with
box.
5?
I don't know.
All right. Well, I played 2 to 4. I played 2, 3, and 4, and every time I play it, I don't feel like there's any one group number that actually is better than the other. So like how there's some games where you're like, oh, this game is really best when played with 3. I think that the game is excellent regardless of the number of people that you're playing with. So it's actually a pretty solid 2-player game, Alice Guy, and I really like it. I share this game only with TJ, I think. That's okay.
It made my list.
It did?
It was like 137 or something.
Oh, okay.
Like that.
I don't remember. But no, I like the. Oh gosh, it's got this suburbia kind of economy aspect to it, where you have a bunch of tiles that you get to purchase. One of the best parts about it, though, is that your opponents are setting the prices for the tiles, and you're setting the price for your own tiles as well that you're drawing out of this bag. And so you can try and price yourself out of the market if you really want to keep one of your own tiles. So you make it super expensive unless somebody can actually afford it and take it away from you. And then meanwhile you have your own little bunch of coins and you're trying to look around the table and see what everybody else has and has for sale, and hopefully you get to buy it before somebody else buys it. And the tiles do different things. You have maybe you're trying to collect yaks on a game.
Still mad at you about that, man.
That didn't change.
You axed my yak. You axed my yak.
That's something that happens.
And anytime you get a game that has that kind of confrontation and conflict, I really enjoy it because people are invested in it, and I like that. So the tiles in the economy part are setting the prices and trying to figure out what the right prices for a particular tile is. That's really fascinating. And then the game itself has these different scoring conditions that get randomized every time you play. You draw them out of a bag. You draw
Such
4
a
at a
good
time.
feature.
Yeah, super awesome. And so you get to pull them out, and they go at different times. So that's also another level of randomization when you're pulling out these scoring conditions. And yeah, you get little victory points and you move around the board as time goes on. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most money wins.
Yep. Just like in real life.
Oh, come on,
Wow.
come
Wow.
on,
Wow.
come on! So
Yep.
disappointed.
Yep.
So disappointed right now.
Perfectly set up.
Alright. Anyway, moving on.
Yep.
So Isle Sky is my
We'll edit that
number
out, it's
3.
okay.
Yeah, it's new, but I think that, for me, I love this, tiling aspect where you're trying to puzzle it together on your map. You're not having to share a map like you do in Carcassonne. You have your own city, like Suburbia, and you're kind of, building it together. You're making sure your roads are all connected so that you can generate economy with these whiskey barrels that you use for gold. It's good. I really like it. You got economy. You've got tiling. There's a little bit of randomness to it, which I don't think detracts from the game at all. I think that makes it more interesting. And then there's strategy too, because you get to see what your opponents are doing and you're trying to figure out how best to beat them. So it is a little bit mathy because you are looking at points, but I don't mind that kind of mechanic or that kind of point of the game where you're trying to math out the points to find out what's going to be most beneficial to you. And it's kind of fun with the axing we were talking about. So this economy part, which is probably one of the neatest mechanics of the game, is that you have these 3 tiles and you set prices for 2 of them, and secretly you choose one of them to axe. You secretly choose this one is the one that's going back in the bag. Nobody gets to buy it. And so everybody gets to look at all 3 tiles and go oh, that tile's really cool. I'm going to buy that tile. And then you find out that's the tile that person decided to put back in the bag, and totally throws you off, and now you have to rethink your strategy of what you're going to buy when it comes to your turn, and that's really fun. It's totally a meme game, and I just love it for that. So yeah, Isle Sky, number 3.
Yeah, I've only played it the once with you, and I loved it.
Cool.
I love that moment when you're sitting there and you're putting the money out in terms of how to value this tile,
Yes.
and if you overvalue it even the tiniest bit, you're stuck paying for it.
Yeah.
And so there's that great kind of push your luck element almost where you're sitting there going, well, I know that Patrick's been buying boats this whole time. Is it worth it for him to buy another tile? What do I do with it or not? So it's a good one.
Because you don't want to make it too low, otherwise you're going to give points away to your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's this really, really great cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, I'm eager to play it again just so that we can have totally different victory conditions. Because I know in our game, holding on to money was important because that was actually one of the scoring conditions.
Yeah.
But in the next
So you
game
don't
we
play
play...
differently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You don't play differently if money's not one of those. So, yeah.
Good.
Totally great, replayability, just it'll probably never need an expansion. I don't think it would benefit from an expansion. It's like one of those games where if you add or subtract anything from it, it like ruins it. So it's perfect the way it is, and it's awesome.
You knew this was going to be on her list?
Yes.
Yeah. I had that one written down too.
All right, I guess you know.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
It's a game you own. So.
I'm still mad.
Easy.
Just like real life, I ruined it.
Yeah.
Does that bring us to number 2?
Number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is a game that's from one of my favorite designers and one of the most consistent ones that's been on this list. And it is one of the more surprising ones because it's certainly not of the theme that I usually would have games on my list for. And that is Vlad Chvátil's Mage Knight of the board game.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So yes.
I haven't played it.
Man,
Yep.
I did not guess that at all.
The Star Trek.
There's the new version Star Trek Frontiers. Mage Knight the board game, you are one of the 4 Mage Knights, and there's multiple scenarios. You can play cooperatively or competitively, but you're going out and you're doing different actions which are all based around your deck, and it indirectly has a deck building mechanism around it, but really you're just managing the resources in the deck. So it has, like the other games that are on my list, it has the cards can be used for multiple things system to it, and how different card combinations can come up and work in different ways, all played out in this fantasy setting where you're trying to do different things, depending on the scenario, of course, but usually you're trying to defeat different enemies and overcome different obstacles. So yeah, I like it. It does an excellent job with the mechanics as far as trying to focus on certain things, because your Mage Knight already starts out with a specialization, and as you get further into the spells or the advanced action cards that you get more and more specialized into certain things and certain strategies. So yeah, I like it a lot. Mage Knight.
That is cool. I did not know that you liked it that much. I knew
Yes.
you liked it.
Yes.
I knew you liked it. We're gonna have to get this one back out.
Yes.
Because I look at it all the time. Yeah. Well, that would be really
Star
fun
Trek
too to
version.
play the Star Trek version.
Yeah, I'll have to get the Star Trek.
It'd be
version,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
This is the next generation one, right?
It has
choose-
no. It's both
Oh.
classic and next generation.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to get that to the table too. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I did not realize that you liked it that much. We will definitely have to play some more of it because it has so much going on. Even just in terms of the number of crystals that you're spending each turn, and kind of using those as an economy, and there's a lot of moving pieces there. But I mean, I'm always a sucker for the deck building element to things.
Yes.
And I remember from the couple times we played it, you had really gotten to a point where you had some pretty cool spells that were starting to tick every turn, and you were really starting to get your engine going. And yeah, I'd love to see a little bit more of this one. And like you said, we barely scratched the surface of this game. I think we maybe played it 3 times, 4 times.
Yeah.
But so we'll have to make an effort to get that to the table. This has actually been one of my favorite things about doing this top 50 list is that I was wrong about a lot of the games on your list. I knew that there were a couple of them that you really enjoyed, but it's really been fun seeing like what's what you consider top tier.
Yes.
One of the things that's awesome about playing games with Jack is that Jack is just a really nice guy. He's always willing to play pretty much anything. And so I always feel like when we go over to his place, he's always having somebody else choose a game. So it's really nice to actually be able to know what Jack likes so that maybe I can push for some of those. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was your number 2?
That was my number 2.
Very cool. Solid pick. My number 2 is a big, bloated Ameritrash Star Wars.
Unlike anything on Bryan's list,
Yes,
completely
indeed,
contrast to everything else
indeed.
that's been on the list.
And that is Imperial Assault. I'm going to catch so much flack from Ben because once again I have both Descent and Imperial Assault on my top 50, and some people would claim that they are
Like
pretty much
very
the same
close
thing.
together
They're-
too.
Yeah,
They're different. They're different.
Yeah, one's basically the older brother of the other. Imperial Assault, though, I owe quite a bit to that game just because it's something that really cemented our friendship of the people here at this table. It was just a really fun game that your husband, you, myself, Jack, and our buddy Ben all got to play together. I got to take on the role of the evil empire. I was the overlord, so to speak, and I got my butt handed to me every week for about 11 weeks in a row, 12 weeks in a row.
A solid 3 months.
But one of the criticisms of this game that I completely agree with is it's really hard to get to the table on a consistent basis. It's a campaign-style game, so to really enjoy this game, you have to be playing it on basically a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and that's really hard to do. But for some reason, it was doable with our schedules. I was in school. People just made an effort to be there, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was really awesome watching just the characters grow, and at one point, your Padawan character got a lightsaber, and watching you force throw the Wookiee into
fastball special.
Just bowling ball into my pin of stormtroopers, and just nothing I could do. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Garkon was the name.
Each week I thought I had him each week, and I mean, man, these guys didn't make a single mistake. It was great. Kind of a big bloated game. I mean, it takes probably 2.5 to 3 hours to play each scenario because there's so much upkeep that you have to do in between games, even and even just setting up each board takes quite a while.
Takes about half hour.
Choosing which characters you want to use each time. But I mean, super thematic. It just really did feel like I was in the world of Star Wars and watching these guys who were kind of in my mind, a rebel strike team. Because in my mind, Luke and Han and the important characters are off doing something, but there's got to be other squads that are doing things in the background to move the story forward. And it was just great watching this play out in my mind, watching this Rebel Strike team get stronger and stronger, and kind of watching their personalities develop. So I don't get to play a lot of RPGs. It's just not something that our group does. Pen and paper D&D style. So this is probably about as close as we get, and I had a blast with it. And I lost every single game except for one.
With an asterisk.
And that had an asterisk next to it. Because maybe Nexu can't stand on a console. If you just cheat and you put your cat on top of the objective,
those Nexu, man.
That's how you do it. But
no, Bryon, that was an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, these guys would come over to my house every week, every other week, and it was just so much fun to put out some beer and pretzels and just get the rules wrong and read an and instead of an or, an or instead of an and. It
happens.
Yep. Just a blast. It's really just a tacticals miniatures game with a little bit of, leveling up in between each character, but in between each round. But a great time.
I like the scenes that were playing in my head as we were going through these things. That was probably like it's one of the reasons why I like Sentinel so much too. It's like in my head I'm like playing through these scenes of like what's happening.
my poor chicken walker, what you did to that thing was just hilarious. So yeah, apparently you can take down an entire AT-AT as long as you just kick it hard enough.
She was a Jedi.
So
she knew its like ultimate weak spot.
Yeah.
Imperial Assault.
Anyway, Imperial Assault, my number 2. Absolutely fond of it.
Awesome. Alright, cool. My number 2, it's already been mentioned before, I think on both of your lists. It's Nuns on the Run.
All right.
Called it.
Yeah. It's such a good game, and it blew my mind when I played it the first time. I was just like, cause one, it's like I said, it was one of the 2 games that I played first, like Sentinels and Nuns on the Run, and just the whole thing that a game could be designed this way, where there's one person chasing after all of these people, but you don't know where they are, and like everybody's like just keeping track on their paper, and like for me it was like this whole trust system that everybody's like actually like doing the thing that they're saying they're doing, and like figuring out that there's a community out there that would do that. So I know that's like not necessarily part of the game, but for me that's like what tied it in, like was that there's a community of people out there who respect like these games and like little scenarios and like these themes like well enough that you just get into it, and like you're gonna toe the line, you're gonna follow the rules, nobody's gonna cheat, like that just takes it away. And I mean, it might be just because of like my past and like who I played with in my past, but I had never had an experience like that where everybody was just plodding along, like you're tracking like where your naughty novice was in what is it, in the cloister, whatever you call it, and then like at the end of the game trying to steal your thing and getting back to your cell before they caught you. It was good. It was more than good. It was just like, I don't know, it just opened up a whole world to me, and I've played that game since, and it continues to be incredibly fun. It's always challenging, and it's always like there's pressure on you, and like the theme in like a lot of my games. I like this pressure. I like this conflict that's coming up because it forces you to think creatively and strategically when you're playing the game. And yeah, Nuns on the Run. This is so solid. It's so good. And I'm interested though in playing like Letters to Whitechapel or Letters
From
Whitechapel, where there's a group of policemen trying to chase down Jack the Ripper. But yeah, Nuns on the Run is just, it's up there. Number 2, it's almost perfect. It's pretty perfect. It's a pretty perfect game. Yeah. I like though the idea of reskinning it though to be what was it like? You're hunting down vampires. As Van Helsing type of situation.
Yeah, the parasite situation where as the people running get caught, then they get turned into the other side's team, and so it's has this balance in the middle of the game.
Yeah. Anyway, so play with fun ideas like that, but it all starts with Nuns on the Run. It all starts at something so solid and perfect. So it's my number 2.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, well that brings us to the number 1 game.
Yes, which I don't think will be
all
too
time.
surprising for me.
I actually am sitting here going through. I cannot figure out what Jack's is.
I have written it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
You can show it to Bryon.
Can I?
I thought it might have been Robinson Crusoe. But...
if I'm not mistaken, that's his number 1.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't think so.
I don't think it's come up on his list.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna find out real soon. Do we all have our number 1s picked? Okay. Everybody knows mine. Okay. Jack's. This is mine for Jack.
I know yours, and
I know yours.
We know yours.
We know.
It's fine.
Let's just reveal it.
It's fine.
Right. Well,
I don't know if mine's gonna be the most interesting.
Okay,
do you want me to
then we'll
start
wait for
then?
you.
Because everyone already knows what mine is.
Yep.
So mine is. I'm actually going to say the name backwards or wrong. Let me see.
No, don't worry.
It is Legendary Marvel.
Yeah.
Or Marvel Legendary. I'm not sure the way that the title goes, but this is just an incredibly solid deck builder. It is one that just allows you to play as any superhero from the entirety of the Marvel Universe. I mean, you name a character that is your favorite from any storyline you've ever seen, and there is definitely a way for you to play as that character.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about this game is that it's one that my girlfriend really enjoys, and so we play it 2-player all the time. It's great. It's cooperative, but there's also just this tiniest bit of competition as you're trying to be the guy that took out the most of the evil henchmen or the big bads. And it really is, mechanically it's pretty straightforward. There's a big overlord. He's bringing his minions into the city. You're trying to draft a team of superheroes to stop him. You start with very low-powered heroes. You're trying to recruit by essentially higher-powered heroes with better and better abilities. But really, for me, it's just the crazy amount of combinations that you can have. So, if you want an entire team of X-Men, great. If you just want to have Professor X with a crazy version of Captain America from apparently another world where he's teamed up with a T-Rex, you got that. You want Moon Knight, you've probably never even heard of him, but you can have him.
Yeah.
So, there's some great little thematic elements. If you play as the Punisher, he actually manages to find ways to cull heroes out of his own deck, as he is doing things to even hurt the people who like working with him. Those
poor S.H.I.E.L.D. agents.
Yes, those poor S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. I wish that I had kept a running tally of the number of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that have died while playing this game.
Yes, yeah.
So, my friends have been incredibly good to me. I think I own literally every expansion of this game because every Christmas or birthday, people are kind enough to give me stuff for it. And it has just turned into, I literally can't fit it all into one giant box anymore. I have to carry around 2 or 3 boxes for it. Honestly, I don't know if mechanically this is the best game of all time, but in terms of replayability and just the crazy number of combinations, if you want to play with Iron Man as the big bad, go for it. You name it, you can do it in this game. And that means that it is not always balanced, but I love just trying out ridiculous combinations and just making different squads of heroes and bringing them up against different masterminds. So that was my number 1 of all time, to nobody's surprise, because I play it all the time and I talk about it all the time. So
no, it's good. It's good. And one thing I don't know if you mentioned or not, that I like that you have combinations of the schemes and of the masterminds.
Yes,
and you have those 2 different combinations of things that are playing against you in different ways. In fact, usually it's in a cumulative way that they're both working against you in even a worse way than they would be separately.
Yes.
So I like that variability in addition to all the different heroes that you can select and how they work. as a system. I think it's the most solid deck building game. I mean, I know like Mage Knight's on here, but I don't consider Mage Knight like solely a deck building game.
Right.
I think for like just deck building, like that's why I had Alien Legendary on there, is because I think it has the best mechanisms for that. And it's cooperative, which is great for getting it on the table.
Yeah.
The legendary systems.
Yeah, the legendary system.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because Marvel was the first of the legendary systems, but I wish that there was some way to implement some of the things that they've learned in
And made better.
Alien and Predator, and I'm really excited to try more of the legendary Firefly.
Try Firefly. Yes.
So the other cool thing is that there's just a huge fan community out there, and if you want to, there's skins out there of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that you can add in. There's skins out there of
Avatar: The Last
Airbender.
Wow.
Too. So. And you can actually put those on cardstock if you want, which Jack has actually done for me before, which is pretty cool. So I'm happy with it. I've played it to death probably. So that's my number one of all time, to no one's surprise.
Wow.
So who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Yeah?
Because I know Jack knows. My number one game of all time, it's Hanabi.
Oh my gosh! I'm surrounded by it.
After all the sour grapes from earlier, this is gonna be fun.
Oh my gosh!
It's a cooperative, which is why it's way higher than Cryptos. So for all of the reasons why I like Cryptos, like they translate like even better into Hanabi because it gets all these things together. One, it's cooperative, and I enjoy cooperative like because everybody else at the table is going to enjoy it probably a lot more. Like and plus it's a little bit more inclusive. So you either win or you lose together, right? And it's not even like Legendary where you're still kind of being competitive. Like Hanabi is just straight co-op. Like it's a team sport. I have a little bit of sentimentality kind of like built into this game because when I was a kid, I used to play a lot of Indian poker with my family, where you have like the cards on your head,
sure. So
and you don't know what you have, and you're like trying to guess, and it's just hilarious to me. And so when I'm playing this game, like a lot of those like really kind of sweet memories come back, and plus I'm getting to make a lot more, where you have no idea what's in your hand until somebody gives you a clue, and I don't know, it's so perfect. The logic, like paying attention, and like for me, like I really enjoy that bit where you're like trying to like pay attention to what everybody is saying, and there's all those bits of information floating around when they're giving other people clues, because when other people are giving somebody a clue, even though you can see this other person's card as they're giving you that clue, it tells you something about your own hand. And so trying to like puzzle that all together is really kind of interesting, and making sure that fireworks sequence goes off correctly. Just to be extra evil, Hanabi comes with an optional deck of colors that you can play with. So like the game, you either give a clue, and the clue can only do two things. It can either tell you the number of somebody's hand, like these two cards are a number 1. Or you could tell them, these 3 cards are blues. So those are the only types of clues you can give each other. To be mean, Hanabi has that extra deck of colors, and they're rainbow. And it just adds a whole other level of it's just best.
Stress, depression, angst, anxiety.
Sure. But like it's together, and so now you have this other bit of information that you're kind of like listening to and paying attention to when you have these rainbows out. I have not been able to play the rainbow one very often. I'd like to try for people who want to try it on hard mode, but there's not a lot of love in this house for Hanabi. But it's probably like it's my favorite game, and it's quick. It's a filler game. Usually it's quick, I should say. Usually it's quick.
Especially if you lose.
Especially if you lose. Yeah, don't. I don't know. It's so great, and like it's just hilarious. The whole game, like I'm having fun. I'm laughing, and for me, it's not like there's no table talk. And yes, like ideally, like for me, I'm like chasing that like the dragon's tail, right? Trying to like have the perfect game where nobody cheats. It's not going to happen, but for like, there's just a lot of really great moments when people are like trying to remember, like, okay, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, and like getting it wrong or right. When you get it right, it feels great. When you get it wrong, it's hilarious, and it's I don't know. I think it brings people together, and it stop it for you.
Brings people together as you throw them under the bus.
No, not at all.
Why would you play the green too?
No.
Why? You have 4 other cards you could have played. No, I'm sorry.
I know,
Please
it's
keep
great. No, it's great. So that's why I absolutely love Hanabi. And yes, with the tiles, it takes it to that next level because you're not holding the cards. But I have the cards. I enjoy playing with them. It's fun. And like for me, remember video poker. It's hilarious. But anyway, that's my number one game. I love it. It's a good game. And it's a filler game, but I don't give a shit. It's fun. It's fun.
It's a good game. Yep. All right.
Wait,
My
hold on.
number one. I think Sarah knows.
Really? I don't think that's it.
Am I right?
So yes, my number one game is, and so Ben won't get upset at me, is Zaya Legends of a Drift System.
That's right.
Yeah. So
I haven't even played it.
yeah, I know. This game does
here.
the whole,
It's right in here.
you know, soul pilot in the universe in a very science fiction setting, so much akin to like Firefly or you know, different scenarios where there's just a lone pilot out there. In my mind, the first time I heard about this game, it reminded me of Freelancer, the video game.
Yeah.
And you're just that merchant out there trying to be a merchant, trying to be a pirate, trying to do a lot of different things. So I love this game because it has that huge sandbox feel. The two games that I get the most sandbox feel are my top two. Zaya and Mage Knight is where you have all these options just opened up in front of you, and you get to do what you want to do. And you just get to find things. You get to explore, you get experience for that, you get to try to complete missions. There's all these little subsets of the game that really just make it shine in what I think is the best way. And yeah, just customizing your ship, all of those little aspects. I don't know, they just come together in such a great way. Now, I did notice from when you put it on your list, Bryon, that one of your criticisms was the dice roll and how that does affect the movement of the players, which is a fair criticism. Which is also why we have implemented in our game using the Formula D dice that have scaled distances.
Really smart.
Yes, and that does a much better job. It's not perfect. It'd be nice if it was just a finite amount that you always moved, and so you could plan out your turns, because that is one of the bad things about Zaya 2, is each person's turn can take a while. So if you're playing with the full complement of players, which is 4, it can take a while before it comes back to your turn, and you can't necessarily plan everything out. Because you have a limited amount of movement, and depending on what you want to do, that can work in different ways. Another criticism I saw that you had, Bryon, was the economy, and that someone could capitalize on a single trade route.
Jet.
And don't know who that could be. And they have changed that for the expansion. That now there's a fluctuating economy that as soon as a certain commodity gets sold a lot, there's no longer any demand for it. So they took that criticism to heart, Bryon, and they have changed that, which is great, because that's one of the things I love of Merchant of Venus, that it does better than Zaya. But now that they're integrating them, now Zaya's like perfect. Now Zaya's like right there, top tier. I really can't do anything about it. Now I don't want to say I have too much bias in it, because it is an expensive game, and so I obviously invested a lot monetary wise into this game, and to making it nice. Like, we have the nice metal currency, and the fact that it's painted miniatures and stuff. It's very deluxe production. But even aside from that, I think it's an incredibly solid game, and how the game evolves. And I know one of these days, Ben and you and I just got to get together and play that 20-point game. That point up to the tier 3 ships that are just like kicking butt and like and destroying the NPCs on the board. Yes, we'll have to do that. And of course, I mean, I'll let you talk about it, Bryon. But I've had some great memories just playing Zaya.
Oh man. Well, yeah, Ben and his murder ships are quite impressive. I mean, the first time we're playing this game, we're having a great time with it, and like, wow, I can really just go out and be a pirate if I want. Wow, I can really just do this. And Ben's trying to shoot down Andy, and he realizes he doesn't have the weapons for it. And he looks up at Jack and goes, "Is there ramming in this game?" Jack flips open the rules, and he's like, "Yeah, there is." Ben just crashes his bus ship into Andy, and he doesn't even care. They both just explode.
Yeah.
Oh man. Or, Ben just decides, I'm just going to keep mining this incredibly dangerous substance, and it doesn't matter how many times I explode mining this gas.
Yeah.
There's a great moment where I was drifting without fuel anymore, and Ben comes alongside me and gives me just enough fuel so that he can tow me back to base. And as I'm limping back into the base station, he just turns around and fires his rockets at me.
Yeah.
Just blows me out of the sky.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with everything you said. And I mean, my tiny little written review of it, it just really does feel like you have freedom to do what you want in this just great expanse. And just go explore it. Do you want points for exploration? Great. Do you want to be a miner and a commodities trader? Great. Do you want to be a lawman? You can even be a lawman. You can be chasing down pirates and rebels, or maybe you just want to fly for the sake of flying.
Yeah, and you can tailor your missions to whatever you want to do.
That's right.
You can pick certain regions. Yep.
Yeah, kind of like Ticket to Ride. You can draw multiple routes and then decide which ones you want.
Yep.
So, the upgraded ships are pretty amazing.
Yes.
I remember the one time I had a Tier 3 ship, it actually had a docking port for my Tier 1 ship.
Yes.
And I could send my Tier 1 ship off to do tasks for me, which was pretty darn cool.
Raptor.
But
Yes. And all the ships have special abilities. They all have certain loadouts that you have to Tetris in the different, the shields, the weapons, the engines, all in. And I don't know. I mean, that's like a little thing, like a little spatial element that's thrown into the game. But it's great. It's great that you have to have that kind of checks and balances for what you're trying to do.
I remember you had a ship that was really cool. It had some sort of harpoon ability, so that you could actually basically you could just draft behind people.
Yes.
So that on my turn I would be moving and you'd be like, all right, and I just follow you another 4 spaces, and I'm just helping you complete your little merchant ship back and forth. But
exploiting that trade route.
Really solid choice. I agree that it's just tons of fun, and I mean, there's just so much going on, and just the moments where people decide to blind jump into a star system.
Yes, the risk versus reward on that it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, I've never played a game quite like it. I picked up Merchants and Marauders specifically because I liked Zaya so much, and I wanted to see if it had kind of that same feel, but I don't think that it's going to capture that same kind of Firefly-esque, feeling of freedom. But
that should be good.
Really cool pick for your number one.
Yeah.
So that is our top 10 games of all time as of 2017. One of the cool things is maybe we'll do this again next year. It's always fun to see how people's tastes shift. One of the coolest things for me has been seeing TJ's games. I mean, I haven't even heard of some of these, and I'm like, wow, that sounds fascinating. I want to play that.
There's this particularly good one, TJ. The Android baseball players?
Yes.
What is that
Baseball
one?
Highlights 2045.
Yes.
Which might be a game I can convince my dad to play.
I really want to try that one out. That and a couple of the lighter games. Like, I haven't played Jaipur, and it's pretty cool. That's in your top 10. And then the other lighter game is Trick the Rails, which I know is lower on the list, but TJ, you played so many games that it's obviously going to be good. So I kind of want to try the Trick the Rails one. Yeah.
I loved even just when TJ was starting out and he's writing just a little bit about his background, and he's, if it's a fantasy thing, I'm probably not going to love it. And I was like, TJ, no!
He likes the historical games.
Top hats, monocles.
Monocles.
Apparently, white men with top hats on the cover of the box sells the game for TJ.
Yes.
Hab and Goot was a good one to see.
So we're brand new at this. Jack's been doing maybe 4 or 5 videos up to this point, but if you have any feedback, I'm sure there's tons of stuff we have to learn. Mainly it's just been a really fun thing for us to do because, honestly, we would be sitting around and talking about board games anyway. So we know there's a lot of people out there who produce ridiculously high-quality stuff. Our goal is just to sit around and talk and have fun. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Peter, I hope you've enjoyed this. And I hear that Tim might watch this video.
Yes.
So bringing our view, we've just doubled our viewership.
Oh my gosh, 100% improvement in the ratings. Awesome, guys.
Yes.
All right, we'll get marketing.
Hopefully we can keep that trend going.
I don't know if anybody has any final thoughts or honorable mentions, but...
honorable mentions.
There's honorable mentions. I was sad the Resistance is 51 was not on the list. Euphoria was also, I thought, one that you guys might have guessed for me as being up there. It was also there in the last bit.
Great theme. We've only played it once.
I've
only played it once.
Oh, yeah, I've only played it once, but I really enjoy it too. I think it's a solid Euro game. Alien Frontiers, Kingsburg, Magic Arena, the Planeswalker was one of the ones I thought would be on yours.
I know a game that'd be interesting to see if it makes the list next year. I want to see if Time Stories will make the list.
We'll see. We get that to the table now.
Yeah.
I also thought it was really cool learning that you apparently grew up playing HeroScape. which is a
Oh,
game that
yeah,
I've
yeah,
had to like track down and spent maybe a little too much money.
Baskets.
Oh,
Plural.
man, we gotta play
at
sometime.
my mom's
'cause
house.
I think that's one that my girlfriend would enjoy as well, and I think it would be a ton of
It's
fun
like-
to play. So
Like, what is girlfriend Jamie?
yes, yes. I'm trying to talk to viewers who don't know who I am.
alright.
You know, the two viewers
The
who
two
don't know who
viewers.
I am. Yeah.
There we go.
So-
Yeah, no, Here
Yeah.
Escape. What would I describe that as? I don't know. It's not
Genre,
dungeon.
minis.
It's minis, but it's like light.
Yeah.
It's very light, but like one of the kind of cool things about it is like you have like eye line of sight. But anyway, we digress.
Yeah. I felt really bad because I just didn't put Lifeboat into my. I just wasn't thinking about it when I was making my list.
Our concept, yeah.
Yeah, concept probably would have been pretty high up there. That is a great game, and I know
Yeah.
you did a good treatment of it. So.
Yeah, but like those games.
Yeah, I think in your review you talked about how you've never had that game fail.
Yeah,
and I
It's
agree.
like monikers.
Yes. Yeah. Concept maybe a little bit less stressful for people, but
Yeah.
and just those great moments when you're sitting there and Jack is. So it's a social gathering where people engage in combat with one another, and it's a movie about a group of men who maybe have some sort of mental Fight Club.
Yes, as I describe the entire plot to movies without realizing what I'm describing.
But anyway, this is I forgot. Did you have any honorable mentions or?
Oh, no, not really.
I know you just haven't played as many games yet.
Yeah. I like to get some more under my belt. Yeah.
I really enjoyed Zombicide. I'm kind of interested in maybe checking out Black Plague. That's one that with the fixes of the rules that I hear about would be a really good one. So.
Honorable mention would be the Get Lucky game that Jamie got me as a gift.
Yes.
It wasn't me actually. She gave it to Rick, but I'm enjoying it way more than he is. Get Lucky is the original card game to the board game that looks a lot like Clue to Kill Doctor or Save Dr. Lucky, and it's awesome. It's like way better than the board games could ever be, and it's great. Like one of the comments I think, Jack, that you said was that it's like Munchkin but better because it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yes.
So yeah, it is. It's like
it has
that
the
a lot.
Munchkin effect in a much shorter amount of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Well, that might be it, unless anybody's got any closing thoughts, but I've had a blast doing this. I hope other people have had fun.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. TJ originally was just talking about releasing these on Facebook, and then somebody over here decided to up his game and actually started making videos on YouTube, and then all of a sudden we had a podcaster, and pretty cool watching folks just take this idea and just kind of go wild with it and just come up with really creative things. So thank you so much, TJ, for originally having this idea. Peter, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully maybe we'll do something in the future. If this is something we enjoy doing, maybe we'll look to maybe try and do something in the future.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.
Bye.